Welcome to this Vietnam travel update video. What's the situation like in Vietnam, you may ask? Why Phu Quoc Island is not opening its doors to international tourists yet? Why most foreigners have left Vietnam this year? And my personal outlook on Vietnam's and Southeast Asia's travel future. We'll discuss it all in this video. Let's start out talking about the current COVID and travel situation in Vietnam. As you probably know, right at the beginning of the pandemic, Vietnam decided to shut its borders to international tourists. Fast forward today, it's been about 18 months and Vietnam's borders remain closed to international tourists. So entry-wise, nothing has really changed. However, if we take a look at the current situation in Vietnam, we can definitely see that things are improving. Hanoi, Nang and Nha Trang have all lifted COVID restrictions, allowing its people to go out to exercise, as well as non-essential businesses are opening up again. While you're still required to wear a mask indoors and outdoors, I really do believe that things are moving in the right direction, even if it happens at a very slow pace. I mean, if you have been observing the situation in Vietnam, or if you have been living in Vietnam during the past 18 months, especially in high risk, high affected areas, you can definitely tell that things are getting better. It's this incremental process, incremental improvement, where you can really see that things are getting better. You know, it's not like things are going to be completely open, all restrictions are removed from one day to the next. It's not how it works. Because if you take a look at how North America and Europe has gone through this pandemic, you can definitely tell that we see similarities in Asia. I do know that Asia, and especially Vietnam, has enforced much stricter lockdowns. I do think that the government wants to see businesses open and people back at work again. Having a look at the most affected region, which is southern Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City has extended its lockdown due to the fact that most of Vietnam's population is not fully vaccinated yet. They enforced stricter lockdowns to contain the virus. However, I believe the government is coming to the realization that manufacturing plants can't stay closed forever because we need Christmas gifts in the West. No, I mean seriously, people have to get back to work again. Things have to normalize despite the slow vaccine rollout. So the situation remains that no international tourists can visit Vietnam at this moment in time. And I will explain in a moment what options you have should you be abroad and are looking to come back into the country. Next, Phu Quoc Island in Vietnam was scheduled to reopen to international tourists in October of 2021. But again, due to the slow vaccine rollout, the reopening of the island has been delayed to protect its citizens. What the government is trying to do with Phu Quoc Island is precisely the same as what the Thai government is doing with Phuket Island in Thailand. If you're familiar with Phuket's sandbox program, you know that only a limited number of international tourists can come to the island, provided they're fully vaccinated and provided they're willing to quarantine in the event that a passenger that was sitting right next to them on the flight had COVID. Or of course, if they tested positive for COVID upon arrival in Thailand. Many experts believe a 50 to 70% vaccination rate could be reached as early as Q1 2022, assuming enough vaccine supply comes in from Western countries. If and when the Phu Quoc Sandbox program goes into effect, a limited number of tourists, to be exact, only 3,000 tourists can enter Phu Quoc Island in any given month. I know that's not a whole lot of tourists, and if you ask how many tourists visited Phu Quoc Island during a regular month pre-pandemic, you will definitely figure out that the number was much, much higher than just 3,000 people. But again, things have drastically changed. Let's talk about why most foreigners left Vietnam this year. I mean, everyone who didn't leave in 2020, whoever managed to stay until 2021 was not able to stay much longer for the following reasons. An automatic stay extension was applied to foreign visitors, okay? So that includes people who were on kind of like a short-term visa, you know, like a tourist visa, probably also a business visa. Anyone who came into Vietnam before the pandemic started and they happened to have stayed in Vietnam, they received an automatic stay extension, which was valid until April 30th, 2021. But since this was the only extension offered, many foreigners did just not find any legitimate ways to remain in the country. There just aren't any other easy visa options available. There's a rumor going around that supposedly some companies were issuing fake tourist visas to foreigners. I mean, this is nothing uncommon because in an emergency situation, you know, there's only so many ways on how companies can make money, and so naturally they're willing to go out of their way to find ways on how to make money, even if it's not legit. Another point is that there aren't enough resources available in case the pandemic should hit the country hard, something that certainly did happen, and the government meant that it just wasn't going to be happy keeping all these foreigners in the country at this moment in time. With that being said, the government rejected most visa applications. There's really only 3 ways that expats can use to stay in the country. One would be through work sponsorship, getting a work permit. Now, how easy is that? Obviously not very easy unless you are already employed by a company and have been living in Vietnam on a tourist visa. It's pretty unlikely for somebody to go out there, find a company that will just randomly sponsor them, considering the pandemic and all the hardships companies are going through. 2 would be through investing in Vietnam. Now, this is a visa that is definitely not easy to get. It's going to require a substantial investment. Unless you are a businessman or investor, there's almost no chance that this option is any good for you. Option number 3 is marriage. Supposedly marriage is another option, but this still needs to be confirmed whether it is realistic to get a spouse visa while you're in the country. I also wanted to talk about my outlook on the Southeast Asia travel future. I do believe Southeast Asia will remain the most restricted region in the entire world. And I'm not saying this lightly. The reason behind my statement is just the fact that most countries in the region are lagging behind when it comes to vaccinating their own people. And we haven't really seen any significant changes when it comes to allowing international tourists to enter most Southeast Asian countries. I'm not saying it is not going to happen. I'm just saying that it will probably take a lot longer than other regions. Considering the approach governments took so far, I think international travel and the Southeast Asia routine that we're so accustomed to is probably going to stay out of our reach for just a little bit longer. So regardless of the fact that the Southeast Asia routine that we're so accustomed to is going to stay out of our reach for a little bit longer, let's remain positive and take this step by step and appreciate the incremental improvements that are being made every single day, because that's the best we can do, because this whole situation is completely out of our control. It's one of these things in life that you totally can't influence. So the best thing you can do for yourself, for your family, for everyone is to stay positive and take a look at the updates, see what the governments are doing, see the progress, and make decisions from there. If you want to hold back with traveling to Vietnam, doesn't matter what the reason is, and you still want to get out of your home country, then you can do that right now. You can visit countries without travel restrictions. And if you want to know what these countries are, I highly recommend that you watch the video that appears right here. I showed another video on the safest and cheapest countries in the world. Some good information is in there. If you want to watch this video, then click on the link that appears right here. When do you think Vietnam is going to open its borders to international tourists again? What's the COVID situation like in Vietnam? Leave a comment below and let us know. Make sure to subscribe and turn on alerts to receive a notification when I upload the next video on digital nomad locations, travel updates, and visas. Thank you for watching.